So we're going to discuss one purchase or sale that you've made over the past few weeks. The purpose of this is to discuss the market a little bit, to have some fun with each other, and also for our listeners, the Sherpa Network, they get to learn a little bit of how different brokers see domains, domain name values, and the market right now a little differently, and why. So Drew, tell us a name that you have purchased or sold in the last few weeks, but don't tell us the price.
Immutable.com. IMMUTABLE. 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 Definition
Sounds like a spelling bee.
You can't. Yeah, kind of. You can't. Can't be manipulated, edited. It's written in stone.
All right.
Well, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And this was a sale. So a Media Options owned domain that
Correct.
You sold.
Correct.
Okay. So Bill and Brian, duke it out. Who wants to guess first what he sold it for?
I'll take a shot at that. So my thinking is, oneword.com, lots of syllables, very obscure word. In fact, thank you for explaining what the word meant. I'm sure it probably has a Latin origin, but kind of unusual and has a bold nature to it. Now, I also have to think of the fact that it came from your portfolio, Drew. So, you negotiate hard, but you also, you're not unrealistic. And so you will sell your names. I've had the privilege of buying at least a couple of names from you for clients. So my sense there is you would have agreed to sell that for $75,000.
Okay, good guess. And Bill, thank you. That's exactly what we're looking for. Taking us through the thought process, because, I know when you in particular, but when someone is buying a domain, they come and say, well, I kind of want it, it's got to be one word, or it's got to be easy to spell, or I want it to connote this strength of character. And that's how domains are frequently acquired for branding purposes, right?
Yes, it usually my clients are often startups or serial entrepreneurs, and they typically they have a particular brand name in mind, which can be a problem because sometimes the .com can never be acquired.
Yeah,
and we'll talk a bit more about that later, but they've already usually put a lot of thought into what they think the brand should be, even if it's not possible to get the .com domain.
And then you can extrapolate from that. Okay, this feeling, this length, this what ability in different languages, whatever it may be. All right, now Brian, you have you're coming in with Bill already having said so much, and it's okay if you have a similar ideas or something different. What are your thoughts about Immutable.com?
Well, it's definitely a great name. I mean, it's relevant, with people don't want to be censored with what they say. So I think it's timely. My guess would be, he said it's relatively a quick turnaround from when he bought it to when he sold it. So my guess would be probably paid, maybe high 4 figures, maybe just into 5 figures. But I would think he might be willing to take a little bit less. I've heard Drew say before, focus on the margins, and just getting some of your money back. So I think he might have taken about half of what Bill said. So my guess would be somewhere around 30K, maybe high 20s, low 30s. Okay.
All right. Fair guess. And, names like this, it's difficult to have a real comparable sales set. Like, the domain market is not quite like the real estate market, So Drew,
I'm generally super, ever more so, because I used to support the idea of comparable sales, and I as a measure of value. And I used to even include comparable sales in, like we have like a premium domain evaluation that we offer. I reluctantly offer it, to be honest, because it takes a long time to actually do it. It's like a 9-page report that it's, I think it's $1,400 or $1,250 or something. And, even though that might sound high to have your domain appraised, it's usually, it's usually being done for like a high stakes deal, or it's being done because of a bankruptcy or an audit, or, and so it's a very in-depth report that requires a lot of time to do it. And I used to include a whole page talking about, an in-depth report of comparable sales. And I've eliminated that because I truly, truly believe that these are not commodities. You cannot compare one domain sale to another. And all of the information and data that you can extrapolate from a comparable domain sale is completely 100% subjective. There's very little objective data that can be taken from one domain sale and applied to another. The only thing that's objective is if you're talking about the same domain buyer or the same domain seller, you can extrapolate whether or not they undersold, oversold. If there's any insight into how long that negotiation protracted, you can extrapolate some information there. But otherwise, I am ever more firmly against comparable domain sales. Just wanted to make that point.
And your point about the buyer and the type of buyer that's buying the domain or any domain, that is so key to the to the perceived value and what, for how much and if it will actually turn into a transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. Good point. Yeah. All right, Drew.
So, all right. Drum roll. So, you're both wrong. I sold it for $100,000 even.
Wow.
And it was I had priced it at $150, and it was a multi-week negotiation. And it was interesting because I was actually quite rude to the buyer because they just kept coming back at like $3,000, $5,000, $7,000. And it was like, look, you're not moving the needle here. And I actually started raising the price. I was like, look, honestly, you're wasting my time. Now I'm going to start charging you for my time. And because I just didn't like the way that the guy was negotiating. And so he very intelligently introduced me to his partner or boss, or I don't know who it is. And was like, look, I'm going to let him take it from here. And then that guy was very straightforward, and we very quickly, came to a deal. And, things started moving in the right direction. And so that goes to show you that who's involved is really essential, not just to the price outcome, but to the success of the deal. Because egos and personalities, my own and the buyers, I'm working on that, can very often get in the way of a successful transaction. When I refer to my own ego, I am very cognizant of the fact that when I'm negotiating a transaction for a domain that we actually own, my ego can oftentimes become a hurdle. It can get in the way. It can disrupt the flow of the deal. It can be susceptible to my mood and other factors that are going on in my day in life.
Well, and you're not really a motivated seller either.
Yeah, that doesn't help. That doesn't help. It gives me a little bit of, arrogance. However, when I'm selling or buying for a third party, it's amazing how that just isn't there. And so more and more, I'm letting others negotiate the sale of names that we own. But it depends on the circumstances.